Have you ever looked at a map of Canada and thought, what does this part look like? I did, so I organized a road trip. The farthest north you can pretty much go is a town on the Arctic coast called Tuktoyaktuk, and it's so far north that the weather satellites don't even care. My girlfriend Anna agreed to come, but she made it quite clear she wanted to see
a bear.
Bears.
Oh, bears. Bear. I want to see a bear.
Anna suggested that my mom might want to come, since my mom's a pretty good traveler. She agreed, but only if she could fly up and meet us there. Before we left, I planned out exactly where we'd be and when in the rough distances. My girlfriend Anna and I would leave Vancouver for Prince George, then we'd head to Stewart, spend a day in Stewart, drive to Whitehorse. My mom would fly into Whitehorse, we'd pick her up from the airport, head to Dawson City, spend 2 days in Dawson City for the music festival, drive the Dempster Highway to Inuvik, 2 days in Inuvik, during which we'd take a boat ride up to Tuktoyaktuk and then fly back, and then head back to Dawson, drop mom off at the airport, and then drive home. The whole trip would be around 7,900 kilometers and should cost about $5,500, assuming nothing catastrophic happened. Foreshadowing? No, everything mostly went fine. The car was a little full with 2 coolers, 2 sets of camera equipment, and 2 weeks of clothing and gear. But eventually, we were on our way. Our first impromptu stop was the historic city of Yale, north of Hope, which, according to the sign, the city itself appears to be open from 10 to 5. Oh, it's pretty much the same as most garage sales.
I don't go to many, so.
Smart girl.
I hereby declare that I am dying to see a bear on this trip, and Chris knows this, but now I've added moose, because apparently they're massive, so we have to see a bear or a moose.
One of the jokes I'd always heard as a kid is that there's a town called Spuzzum in BC. It's just north of Hope, and as we were driving along, I saw the sign for it. Or actually, I saw it on the GPS. So here it is, the town of Spuzzum. As it turns out, there's absolutely nothing here. I think this is probably the sketchiest gas station I've ever been in. It's even got the weird old creaking sign. You made it out of there alive?
That man was staring. He doesn't look very busy in there, let's put it that way.
Anna found a sign for the motel we're staying at.
I don't even think I need to say much. Why don't we just show the sign? I'm sure it's a fine establishment.
I'm sure it is. After a while, it became Anna's turn to drive. My car is a stick shift. This did not go well.
No, the reason I pointed the camera at us is because if we die in a fiery, horrible crash, I don't want your family blaming me for killing us both.
They will blame you for taking me on a trip and forcing me to drive. So you're gonna get in shit no matter what. But you're dead, so what the f*** do you care?
It's true, I won't.
Okay, there's no one around.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Clutch? That's funny.
So you do want to get to Inuvik, right?
Yes, I do.
I feel like a driver. And that stupid thing is on! You're an asshole.
There you go, push the gas. Clutch, shift a second.
Ugh.
Was that so hard?
I'm in 5th, right?
Yes you are.
If this goes in the video, you're dead to me.
So we're standing here in the middle of downtown Williams Lake, and it's like dead. It's 7 o'clock on a Sunday. We drove around to try and find a restaurant, and there's nobody here. We've stopped in Quesnel. I had to slam on the brakes because there was this place that Anna told me the story about a while ago.
Okay, so we're in Quesnel, and my colleague Megan was complaining to me one day that her in-laws, who are from Quesnel, took her to this really odd restaurant. She's like, I can't see why they're taking me to this restaurant. Penisola Italian Ristorante. Or, as Megan refers to it, Penis Ole. Oh, that means peninsula in Italian. And I'm sure the food is quite lovely and quite tasty, but I don't know, it kind of makes me giggle.
On day 1 on the road ended uneventfully in Prince George. So we're 781 kilometers in, and we just stayed the night in Prince George. And one of the things I've always wanted to try is manifold cooking. So we've got a pork tenderloin that we bought from Superstore. So
It's a Chipotle rub.
right,
tenderloin.
Chipotle rub tenderloin. So we actually had a practice run out to Ed's a couple days ago to figure out what the hottest parts of the car engine were, and we discovered that as long as we hang it near the engine manifold or the exhaust manifold, it might actually get hot enough. So this is going to be in the car for probably 12 hours on the way to Stewart, and hopefully tonight we'll have pork tenderloin. And if not, we'll just throw it in the oven, assuming it doesn't smell like gasoline. We just found the longest, straightest downhill stretch imaginable, and Anna volunteered to drive, but she's doing admirably well.
Thank you. I still hate it.
But you're good at it. So Anna just asked the question, why does it smell like tuna in the car? And I think it may be the our pork tenderloin that we left in here.
Oh, I smell it.
Yeah.
I definitely smell it.
So we smell burning pork, and I believe we decided it's time to pull over and make sure that our food isn't burning and take it out. Oh.
Did it grow a tail?
It did. That's what's burning, I think. That's the warming plate of the engine. Oh, so I just squished the shit out of it.
What did you just do?
That's where this pole sits.
Oh!
Smashed.
Cut it in half.
That's awesome.
All right then.
That should look. We'll try that.
Off we go.
So we stopped on the 37A on the way from Prince George to Stewart, and there's this short path actually that has an avalanche launch center type thing. It's just kind of dilapidated looking old building, but the view here is stunning, and the mosquitoes aren't too bad because there's enough of a breeze to keep them away. This is unreal. We've been driving for the last hour or two, and it's just been amazing. There's been mountains and like beautiful lakes and rivers and trees as far as the eye can see. Anna pointed out that aside from attacking us now, there's a ton of flies attacking my car. So we've made it to Stewart, and it's time to try our manifold cooking.
But if this fails miserably, there is some backup homemade lasagna waiting for us in that Tupperware.
Courtesy of Anna's mother. Let's just say the cooking didn't work out, and we were happy that Anna's mom had sent some lasagna with us. After dinner, we went for a walk in the town. Anna has some unresolved questions about this town.
We've been walking through this town, and it's random. There's like 2 houses where people clearly live in, and then they're next to these dilapidated old shacks. And then you're beside like a welding company, and then you're beside something like that. Like, what the hell is that? And where does everyone live? Like, how did this town start? Why is it here? We're in the middle of friggin' nowhere. It's beautiful, but it's so random.
It's 10 after 10.
Yeah, it's almost 1:45. We're standing beside the bar in town.
I know where we need to get some chocolate tomorrow. Ah, they're everywhere.
I know. He was hanging out by the bike, which I thought was funny.
Oh. So it's the morning of Tuesday the 16th. Anyway, we're at the Ripley Creek Inn, and this rooster started crowing, but at like 9. Like, it's like, dude, you suck. Although I'm happy he didn't start at 6, otherwise I would have had to kill him. Our first stop of the day was to hop across the border to Hyder, Alaska.
So we are now in Hyder, Alaska. or just past Hyder, Alaska, at the Fish Creek Wildlife Site in Hyder, Alaska. And apparently we can see, there's a creek or something, there's some waterway where we can see salmon running, and there might be bears. And then we're gonna head on up to the glacier. They're so cute. Bear, wanna see a bear?
So we walked along this sort of elevated pathway thing, I guess, to see bears, but we did not see any. So we'll head on up the highway and come back later. The Salmon Glacier is bordered on the north by Summit Lake. Every summer, around mid-July, the ice breaks and water flows under the glacier to the Salmon River, which flows south down to Hyder. After the glacier, we went to look for the abandoned Grand Duke mine site, which we did not find. We're at attempt 2 to try and see bears here. I don't know if this is going to work.
A pecking order to reduce dangerous fights. Black bears give way to grizzlies. Sows with cubs abandon fishing holes to adult males. Mothers will send their youngsters up the tree to safely wait until any danger passes. 2- and 3-year-old bears get pushed around by everyone. The punishment for breaking these rules is often sudden and severe. A thundering swat or menacing pop of the jaws is usually all it takes to restore order.
That's kind of how you and I work.
If I threaten your food supply,
Yeah, that's always
and if
dangerous.
you're naughty, I'd give you a thundering swat.
Yeah. Stewart Museum awaits. It's funny, small towns like this are so quiet, all you can hear is the birds chirping and Anna crunching on cheesies.
Nothing new here. I've been craving these things for weeks. Well,
Weeks,
couple of days.
hours.
Yeah.
Mining. One word, mining.
Well, for gold.
Yeah.
Prospecting. Oh, geez, it's a bear.
There's your bear.
This would be a black bear. Grizzly bears have, I learned today, have shoulder things.
Like that guy?
Yeah. Yeah, see? Oh my god, I'm right.
So I saw a bird earlier today, and I thought that was an eagle, and it's like, no, that's not an eagle.
Well, it didn't have the black head and the white neck and the wings.
You mean the whitehead?
White head and the yellow things.
Yet here,
It looked like this guy.
juvenile bald eagle.
I can't always be right.
We just saw the courthouse. I imagine that's where all the judges and lawyers that I've met would be. It's like a room with a rifle
gun.
on the table, yeah.
But beside the rifle had a plaque that was stuck into the desk.
Do not use on innocent people. Anna's found her bear.
I want to see a bear.
Guess what we found?
A bear.
Swallows and whole, then you eat, chew on them. What them is not coming back. And
I'm pretty sure that was a grizzly.
Yeah.
Because I learned today that they have the shoulder thingy.
Yeah.
And he was he was quite a big lumbering bear too.
Well, all bears are big and lumbering, but
Well, grizzlies are bigger.
I could have taken them.
One bear taking on another.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm sitting here in the car and I crawled over, and then I'm thinking, what if this bear attacks? Like, I need to keep the windows up. So I ran back into the car. Like, at least there's some semblance of protection with the windows up, because they're all down right now.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it up, and I'm like, the debate in my head, do I stay here and tinker with the freaking car, or do I go watch a bear? I'm like, I'm watching a bear! So I ran out and left the windows wide open and...
Whatever. And it's all grumpy because she has...
Okay,
Yeah.
This is the first egg.
Yeah.
And then apparently I just got another one. It's because of the bear, but because it's the bear, I don't care. It's worth it. Although, if it gets any bigger, I'm gonna be a little concerned. I look like one of those Star Trek characters with all the bubbles on their heads.
And just pick one, any of them. There's a ton of them.
I don't know. You know the names better than I do.
They all have weird shit on their heads.
Well,
Oh well.
that's what happens when
Such is the price.
This is what happens when you come out to play in Mother Nature's wilderness.
We're fresh off our high of actually seeing a bear.
I'm still giddy. I'm sorry. It's like I'm 6.
And we're back on the boardwalk again. So the bear was actually walking this way. It's a bit of a hike here, but there could be other bears because there's lots of bear shit on the street that look pretty fresh. So we're walking back to the lookout point again. We'll see if we can see anything. We waited about a half hour, and sure enough, guess who wandered by? What was this bear called again?
Francis.
Sorry?
Francis. Francis the bear. Sir Francis Bear from Stewart, of the Stewart clan.
He's behind the bush.
The tall.
Yeah, the one that looks like
Yeah.
an 80s haircut on a rap star.
Yeah. So you track them all? Like
No, no.
Or is it just
There's just not that many of them. So you get to know them. If this is Francis, in product, if it is.
Okay.
It's the fastest I've seen Anna move in weeks.
All for the bears.
The park closed at 10, so they ended up kicking us out, but we went to the side of the road to bear watch a little more. Can I eat this? No.
What is this liquid?
It was time to say goodnight to the bear and get back to the hotel to head to Whitehorse the next day. We've got our first hitchhiker. What are those things called?
They're called a spider,
Can-Am spider.
and they work really well when they work.
On that right today, we saw a bear and a moose and a fox. Wow. And the bear was sitting right here on the side of the road, and we didn't stop to discuss it with him. We just went.
Apparently, their transmission had ceased, so we dropped the guy off in Dees Lake, which was the nearest telephone to call for help. That's what I live in fear of. Oh shit, the car broke and we're in the middle of nowhere.
There's kind Samaritans every once in a while.
New York City in a limousine.
We have our second side of the road moment here. Looks like someone's brakes are about to set on fire. And we might get hit by
If we're
a
not
truck.
careful.
That's always exciting. Oh, yeah, you can kind of hear it.
Oh, careful.
Yeah, that's kind of hot.
I hope I caught that.
Sorry?
I hope I caught that.
I'm pretty sure you did. No, that's actually probably a bad idea. Oh, okay. Because you'll bend stuff. Wow.
Oh, you got Jack. Wonderful.
Of course I have a jack. What did it take me for?
A camera
Someone who is
and a
prepared.
Miles off.
That's a Jack.
Well, that answers my second question of how I was going to get the jack out.
Well, think of the bright side. You're not going to be asked to move anything for anyone for quite a while after this.
True.
Even though it's not your fault.
I set the trailer on fire and all your shit's destroyed.
It's in the middle of.
It's at 64 North by. All right, another good deed done. On we go. We've been driving for 7 hours and we have 500 kilometers left to go. But we're about 40k from turning left, and once we turn left, it's only a few hundred k to Whitehorse. But this part of the world is really odd because it looked like there's a giant forest fire that came through here a couple of years ago. So a lot of the trees are just like burned to a crisp. I think I've discovered if you want to figure out what driving up north is like, just park your car on a treadmill in front of a Robert Bateman and sit there for 14 hours. And I'll kind of give you an idea of what driving through here is like.
Perfect analogy. You just need to switch the Robert Bateman photo or painting every, what, 4 hours?
I think 3 hours.
Three.
Yeah, 3 or 4
Yeah.
hours.
3 is fine.
Oh, this is the border. Yeah, slow down. So we're about to hit the Alaska Highway too. A little bit ahead, turn left, Alaska Highway, then on to Whitehorse. Car's a bit dirty. Most expensive gas ever. It's tuna salad time.
Oh yeah, nothing but the finest meals for us.
It is. We came over the hill, we got radio, and we found civilization. So we're gonna stop and take a... Relatively speaking, radio means civilization.
Sure, yeah. Show them the view.
Okay. After what seemed like forever, we finally made it to Whitehorse and then farther north to our bed and breakfast at Lake LaBarge. We're on Lake LaBarge. Hello, yes. Nice to meet you. Hello.
Janet, I'm Anna. Anna, nice to meet you.
So we've made it to Whitehorse and we've made it up to our bed and breakfast. It's 11:15 right now. It's still basically like twilight. When I was originally booking this trip, it turned out that there wasn't anything available in Whitehorse because there was a First Nations conference here. I found this sort of lodge type thing where you have your own outdoor hut. I also annexed that, but she found a bed and breakfast called the Lodge at Lake LaBarge. The main claim to fame of Lake LaBarge in Canada is that it's the setting of the very famous Robert Service poem, The Cremation of Sam McGee, which was one of my favorite poems as a kid. And there's a line in there that says, "On the night of the marge of Lake LaBarge, I cremated Sam McGee." So here we are on the marge of Lake LaBarge, and the mosquitoes are freaking killing. In the morning, we had a fantastic breakfast made by our host. Fresh baked cranberry muffins, bacon, eggs, cereal, you name it, and we had a nice send-off.
But anyway, so far so good.
Cool. Thank you. There we go. That was Lake LaBarge.
It was. Very nice lady. Very nice bed and breakfast.
So we're off to get the oil changed in the car and get some stuff at Superstore and then pick Mom up from the airport. Hello.
Hi, hon. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Good.
We stopped at a place called Mom's Sourdough Bakery at the side of the highway here. We've seen it coming to and from the lodge at Lake LaBarge, so they have cinnamon buns.
Yeah, it's a very forthright. It's $24.
$7. Better be good.
I'm sure it will be.
Denise? It's a good chaser to clean your mouth up from that apple.
We switched drivers. Anna's sleeping on both sets of camera gear, so it's the GoPro. Mad Max here is driving now.
It seems like we've been driving for hours. Mainly because we have been driving for hours. You know, Anna, if you go over there to that lookout and look out over the giant plain, statistically speaking, it's a certainty that there's a moose there somewhere, so then technically you can say you've seen a moose.
That seems rather sketchy to me.
Well, that's how lawyers work.
So we just drove by the Dawson City airport, which is basically just a hut and a strip of tarmac. And I said, "Oh, Mom, that's where you're flying out of tomorrow." And she's like, "Ah, ha, 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 ha." And I'm like, "No, or not tomorrow, but that's actually where you're flying out." Ah, ha, 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 ha. And then Anna's like, "No, I think that is." I'm like, "Yeah, you're flying out of Dawson. That's
Right.
So we made it to Dawson City. We're in Sourdough Joe's for dinner. We're all still speaking to each other, which is a good start.
Yes, day one. Very
Just
successful.
Ask us in 3 days.
Yeah, wait till we try and do 781 day travel road. Dawson City is a quirky little town of about 1,300 at the intersection of the Klondike and the Yukon rivers, and is a pretty fun little tourist trap.
Why? I see all these questions and then I have to learn stuff about what I see. It's a lot of work traveling.
So we finished our dinner, we've been wandering around. It is now 10:25 p.m. We're about an hour and a half away from sunset, somewhere around there. One claim to fame is that it has North America's oldest casino, namely Diamond Tooth Gertie's.
We are in a Diamond Tooth Gertie's.
Diamond Tooth Gertie's.
It's a saloon and gambling establishment.
This is hilarious. This stuff isn't electronic. You actually put money into the machines here.
You can put them in as you go and you might hit. Like, I'll just do it. I got by!
Cash out, cash out! Yay!
This baby's hot. Until it's not. I clearly am the winner here. 15. Listen to this. Just saying.
It is 11:08. It's still basically like early twilight. We stopped at the Tourist Information Center to figure out which tours we wanted to take. First stop, Dredge number 4. So after a brief drive, we arrived at historic Dredge number 4, which is a giant thing for dredging. We're about to find out what it is.
So first they'd have machines that would clear the area.
Yeah.
They'd clear it of brush and old buildings. And then they'd have to thaw the ground and get the stuff ready because it's permafrost. And then they dredge the stuff, which meant they'd basically made this big pond, built a dam, flooded it in. And then this dredge just moved along, like it would churn through the dirt, filter it in some way, and then spit it out the end.
Guess we don't need to take the tour now. I might as well just head. Well, we got to see what the inside looks like. You have a shirt that says staff. Is
yes,
this the 11:30 tour?
Yes.
Excellent.
But we can't allow filming on board unless you already have permission from Parks Canada.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Busted, you got to live in the trunk for the tour camera.
Yeah.
So the rule is if you can pick up a bucket or a pin, you can take it home.
Oh boy. Oh, don't hurt yourself,
Don't
Christopher.
hurt yourself.
Yeah. See, there's another mother over there saying, don't hurt yourself.
Don't do that. I'm telling you as another mother.
Hey!
I'll donate it back. Even though they made me leave the big camera, I snuck a few seconds of video on the dredge. I figure that if it doesn't look like much more than photos, Parks Canada won't send their hit squad after me. This is the outside of the trommel, the giant piece that spins around to separate part of the gold. And this is the inside of it. Once we finished the tour, it was time to book it back to town to catch the 1 o'clock Robert Service poetry reading. The, thing. What was that thing called again? The Dredge. Dredge number 4. We've left Dredge. Even when I organize the trips, I have no idea what's going on. Damn it! I just put my camera on the fence. So we've left Dredge number 4 and we've head to the Robert Service cabin. And there's a program at 1 p.m. which we just made about the poems of Robert Service.
Anyways, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan, and I work for Parks Canada. Now, the author and the writer himself lived here from 1909 until 1912, but it was through his skill as a wordsmith and through his poetry and the images that he painted, he was able to take what at the time would have been sort of a lifeless, cold myth about the gold rush. He was able to take that and give them names and stories and heart and soul, and most importantly, a humor. And that's why his poems are still popular today. And his first poem he wrote at the age of 6. And it went like this. God bless the cakes and bless the jam, bless the cheese and cold boiled ham, bless the scones Aunt Ginny makes, and save us all from belly aches. Amen. At church service one day, the pastor said, Robert, you have such a lovely speaking voice. Would you mind reciting a poem for us? And he thought to himself, maybe I'll write a poem about the Yukon. And he had one line in his head. And the line he had in his head was, a bunch of the boys were whooping it up. He eventually got a few lines in his head, didn't want to forget them, so he went back to the bank to write them down. Of course, he forgot to tell the night watchman, but he did say in his autobiography that the bullet that whizzed past his head that night really inspired the ending of the shooting of Dan McGrew. And you can picture him reading this to a church service in about 1906. A bunch of the boys were whooping it up in the Malamute Saloon. The kid that handles the music box was hitting a jag-time tune. Back at the bar in a solo game, there was Dangerous Dan McGrew. Watching his luck was his light of love. That's the lady that's known as Lou. I'm not so wise as those lawyer guys, but strictly between us two, the woman that kissed him and pinched his poke was the lady that's known as Lou. Now you can imagine him reading that to a church service again.
Jonathan then started talking about the cremation of Sam McGee.
His most famous work in Canada anyways. The first line of it, there are strange things done in the midnight sun. You may hear it all around the north. It's one of those phrases, those adages that we don't even associate with Robert Service anymore. We just use it as an excuse for our colorful behavior. I'll read for you now the cremation of Sam McGee.
I won't make you listen to the whole thing, but if you haven't read it, it's a Canadian classic, and I won't spoil the ending.
That's a really good example of how he was able to take those hardships of the Yukon and make them somehow relatable through his humor, especially.
And no trip to the Robert Service cabin would be complete without a look inside the Robert Service cabin. Now, try and imagine this poorly insulated and inefficiently heated cabin in 40 below. After the tours, it was music festival time. We started with a gospel group called the Sojourners, and then hit the main tent. So the Dawson City Music Festival has started, and we're inside the grounds now. It seems pretty cool here. It's like a fair almost. You want to go shopping?
Well, we need to support the local artisans.
Yes. One of the main draws of the festival is that it brings a wide variety of acts that play good music or country. Here's Samantha Martin.
Oh, mama, 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 why you don't like my man? Oh, mama, mama, mama.
So it's Saturday morning. I've just booked tickets for our gold tour this afternoon. And we are heading on a walking tour of Dawson City put on by Parks Canada. Hopefully that'll be us.
Yeah. Well, minus the swimming part.
Welcome to the Then and Now walking tour. My name is Gabriella, and I'll be with you for the next hour and a half.
That little house was for the men folk when they were bad.
That's funny.
There's all kinds of challenges here in the north. Why are we here? Well, because it's different and we love it. And once we face those challenges, it's a sense of accomplishment. And if you have dogs, many dog teams over there, you'll need straw and food for the dogs as well. Just enough for...
The Dawson City Then and Now tour basically meant that this woman would show up every now and then to talk about how life was back during the gold rush, and mostly make fun of the fact that we're all wimps compared to people back then.
Do you know, when I came up to this area, Dawson City wasn't even here. And we built a boat. Have you built a boat before? Have you?
So I just wanted to point out this building. This was a bank. I don't know if anyone knows Robert Service, but he worked in this bank while he was here, writing his stories of the North.
Now we're off to the second bank of British North America.
So folks, welcome to the...
It's not so often that so many folks come in the bank to give me their gold. Did you know there wasn't one robbery at the banks? Can you believe it? Imagine! Gold, 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 gold. Do you even know, in the spring of 1898, first, the British Bank of North America got to Dawson City. 1 month later, the Canadian Bank of Commerce got to Dawson City. Both banks, the very next day, opened a wall tent, a chest full of $1 million of paper money, each of them, a wooden plank, and open for business.
Now we're standing outside a building here, Ruby's. That was a brothel. There was a lot of disease here in Dawson. Dawson was not an easy place to live. You know, we kind of romanticized it about the gold and all of that. But it wasn't very easy because...
Thank you for your business today. You don't usually bring such a crowd. Now now that your laundry is done, do you feel clean? Thank you for your service again, and please come back. Do you know what the Mounties did, though, to work with these Daughters of Joy?
Back in the day, the Mounties would make the prostitutes have monthly health checks and charge them for it. If they didn't pass, they'd basically get turfed out of town. Next stop, the town bar.
Go on in.
Now where is that lady? Whiskey straight up. Right here. There she is. She announces herself quite well now.
Parks Canada had done a really good job of restoring the bar to what it looked like around 1900, down to the actual bottles of booze from the time period. We then walked to our final stop, the post office.
We're going to have a visitor momentarily.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about. Okay, straight up whiskey. I want you to read this sign for us. Come here. Okay. Just this notice here on the wall. Can you?
Smoking, spitting, loitering, noisy behavior in this post office, and defacing or interfering with post office notices or property in any way is strictly prohibited by order.
Got it? Do you think it was unruly in this post office when I worked here? No, because I worked here.
The post office was the end of the walking tour. Next, we try our hands at panning for gold. After driving for probably about, 25 kilometers, 15 of which were on gravel, we've arrived southeast of Dawson for our Gold Bottom mine tour. We were there a little bit early, so after a brief wait, we got started.
Welcome to Gold Bottom. My name is James.
Hi, James.
We all live here. So I'll invite you guys inside and we can go take a look at some bones and some old photos. And this is the roadhouse.
We started talking about ivory and heavy tusks, and I mentioned that I had picked up the pin at the previous day at the Gold Bottom tour.
Yeah, I heard about that, yeah.
You heard about me lifting the pin?
Yeah.
It's awesome. So I
donated it right back, yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
Word travels fast in small towns.
We find woolly mammoth bones up here and their teeth. So this is a tooth from one of the woolly mammoths, and it's actually not a full tooth. It's broken off of this side.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that's... you guys know what this is?
The tusk.
It is a tusk. You know what it's made out of?
Ivory.
Ivory, yeah. And we got to keep these because there's still quite a bit of value in ivory, actually, because you can't get elephant ivory anymore because it's illegal. That's why we own it, because we can sell it. They sell for about $80 a pound, and to give you guys an idea, that big one, I was sitting on the floor right there, it's about $17,000.
James explained the different types of claims for us, how to stake a claim, and how much work you have to do on claims.
Only costs $10 to stake a claim, but you need to do $200 worth of work every single year in order to keep them.
After that, it was off to see the mine site itself.
Sure, I'll take the front. Our first top layer there, which is trees and moss. Okay. Now that's about a 3-foot layer, about a 1 meter layer. And then we have underneath our thaw layer, we have, like I said, it was frozen, we have our muck. And that's that decaying ice age vegetation. Below that, the muck, we have our pay dirt. Average is around 8 feet deep. We just take everything from the very top and then put it into our trommel over there.
The process of filtering out the gold starts here, where they dump the ore onto the trammel. The trammel is basically the rotating cheese grater thing with a 1/2-inch grate.
All that smaller material, which hopefully contains most of the gold, falls down in here into our sluice runs.
So you don't look for those nuggets?
No, we don't look for them.
Can I look for them?
You can look for them. We've had many other people look, but
And no luck.
all comes through this nugget trough, that first part. We call that our nugget trough because that's where any gold nuggets will fall if we find any. That's where we catch about 80% of our gold also, is right up there.
Then, once you end up with the finer ore, it's back to the house to sift further.
This right here, this is our concentrate, and we just feed it down into here. And again, we've got the expanded metal riffles and that miner's moss underneath to give us the eddies, and then the right stuff to catch it. You take out these mats, fold up the mats just like this, flip them upside down so that way we're not losing any gold, right? Open them up and shake them out, into a gold pan. This is what that material looks like after it's come out of the long top and we've let it dry. Now what we do is we filter it out into different sizes. We don't find very many nuggets, we find very few. It's a good day if we find a nugget. Also, this is definitely not the way we look for gold.
What does the expert think?
Yeah, that's a piece of gold. So that's worth 10 grand?
There's not really any.
You're wasting time.
I am, I know, I'm sorry.
Stop playing.
So after our coarse flakes were down, we're into our fine flakes and dust. This is where we find the majority of our gold in these two layers. And then gold, and that gravel and gold mixture looks exactly like that right there. We have a little technology to help us here, and it's that blue thing right over there. So what happens is this is just a spiral that spirals all the way from the outside all the way into the center. And it's gonna fall through that hole and go out. So the gold is just gonna sit on the ridges and travel up while the lighter gravel is just gonna keep getting washed down like it is here.
And from a giant pile of rock, you end up with a little bit of gold. It's our turn to try our hand at panning. I'm having flashbacks to grade 6 when I wore gumboots to school and everyone called me Gumby. Yeah, you made me wear gumboots to school.
Did I? I'm sorry.
Well, it was raining at the time.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay, we'll see what's there. So grab your lucky pan.
Do we get to dig?
And just dig. Just give her.
I'm not getting the idea of shoveling.
It'll be ironic as if you didn't get it because you were slamming into a nugget.
And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop it under the water and shake it like crazy. Shake it like we hate it. When you shake it, you want your rocks to move. You're not trying to move the water, you're trying to move the gravel and the rest of your pan. So go ahead, submerge it and shake it. Once you've done that, dig through your pan and take out all the big rocks.
Okay, you guys smile. It's cold.
So we've been panning for gold for about 10 minutes now and it started raining just a little bit.
Just a little bit. I got one speck. He's like, look, look, look. And then I'm like, oh, and then I lost it. It was so small.
Where was it?
Right
there. Oh, wow. I ended up with nothing. Is that the official pronouncement?
Yeah, I think so.
That's all right.
But you guys know the creek link.
So you got your gold?
I do. I do.
Okay.
It's worth 5 cents.
I wouldn't go that far. Where is it?
Right there.
There's Mom's gold. You're rich now.
I should have taken my gold cap out and thrown it in. Except it doesn't look gold anymore. Yeah.
Had fun panning out in the rain.
I know, we should be used to this.
Now comes the pouring rain run to the car. You ready?
Am I ready? I think so. As soon as I get my other boot off.
Well, now the rain lets up.
Yeah.
Yeah.